Did you know that each year the United States generates billions of dollars from corporate fines, penalties, and settlements? For the next few minutes, we'll discuss a bill that would direct those funds to invest in our youth, our health, and also our communities. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Robert Traynham, and I'm joined today by Congressman Chaka Fattah. He's a Democrat from Pennsylvania. Congressman, welcome to the program.
Well, it's great to be here, and it's great to be able to talk about the America Focus Act.
Tell me more about that. My understanding is that, if in fact Bank A settles with the government for whatever reason, that money goes into the general fund, and the money just gets spent on whatever at the discretion of the Department of Treasury?
Well, there are times in which corporations pay fines, sometimes because they did something wrong, sometimes because they just want to settle the disagreement with the government and they agree to pay a fine in lieu of admitting wrongdoing. But either way, billions come in the door. And my bill, which has got bipartisan support, Congressman Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, so it's the Fattah-Fitzpatrick bill. It's a bipartisan bill. It's got support from hundreds of organizations. Every organization that's a healthcare, patient advocacy, youth mentoring group, a criminal justice group in the country, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the National League of Cities, you name them, they're for this bill. Says let's take those fines that come in the door. It's what my grandmother would call found money. You don't know that it's coming.
About how much money are we talking about?
Well, in the last 5 years, it's been about $60 billion.
6-0.
6-0.
Wow.
You don't know what's coming because you don't know whether somebody's going to litigate something for the next 20 years.
Right.
Or are they going to settle? But if they settle, it's not in the budget because you didn't know it was coming.
Correct.
So what we're saying is let's invest that in medical research. Let's invest that in youth mentoring. Let's double our reach to young people. The Boys and Girls Club, I'm a big champion of the Boys and Girls Club. We have 4 million clubs around the country, 4,000 clubs with 4 million kids in them. But the White House says there are another 8 million kids who could be connected to quality youth mentoring programs that are not. Girls Incorporated, YMCA, Concerned Black Men. You know all of the groups who are doing this work.
So, Congressman, it sounds like you have a broad coalition of support for this bill, both outside of Capitol Hill, but also on Capitol Hill. Hypothetically, let's say here in 2015, the Department of Treasury gets $60 billion in this found money, if you will, as your grandmother would say. What would the Secretary of Treasury do with that money, and how would he or she designate that money out into the communities?
Under the legislation as we've outlined it, and the NIH would get 1/3 of the dollars, and it would go out the door.
National Institute of Health, NIH.
Right? They fund 1 out of 5 worthwhile investigations into cancer and other diseases. So they'd be able to fund a few more that are already been determined to be ways that could save people's lives or improve their lives that they can't fund today. 1/3 of it would go to the Department of Justice, the Department of Education, to give out to already supported national evidence-based youth mentoring programs, but a percentage of it would go to local communities and states to give out in kind of a block grant for quality local youth mentoring programs.
Congressman, what do you think is the likelihood that the White House would have a bill on their desk, meaning the president would have a bill on his desk, that the Republican-controlled Senate and House could pass something like this?
I passed Gear Up in a Republican House and Senate. It's now $5 billion, 13 million kids later. It's not Democrat or Republican. You got to have a quality idea. We think this works. It's not taxpayers' money. It invests in things that are bipartisan support for it, like criminal justice reform. Rand Paul and I are working together on the REDEEM Act. There are things that we agree on, Democrats and Republicans. Here's money that rather than to go into some bureaucracy or a hole, it can be used on things that we already support that need more resources.
15 seconds left. Very quickly, what do you think the likelihood this year that something like this would pass? 10% chance, 50% chance? Very quickly.
I'm going to pass this into law.
Congressman Chaka Fattah, Democrat from Pennsylvania, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Robert Traynham. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.